Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang. Adrian is on assignment. Tonight, we're following two dramatic stories along the Ukraine-Russia border and in Canada's parliament.
It is using the most draconian piece of legislation to fix a parking problem in downtown Ottawa.
But with the protesters gone, is the Emergencies Act still necessary? Also tonight, are Vladimir Putin's latest moves further steps to war in Ukraine?
Not only are there many military convoys, but even equipment parked in fields.
In a Canadian exclusive, CBC News reporters are on both sides of the border. Priced out, CBC News begins special coverage of the increasing cost of everything.
Gas, groceries, shelter.
And aiming a wider lens at Black history in Canada.
When we did get taught something about Black history, it was always the Underground Railroad. That was it.
Looking at the message carried by the porter. This is The National. We are following developing stories in two world capitals. In a moment, we'll go to Ottawa, where just tonight, a majority of MPs have supported the Canadian government's use of the Emergencies Act. But we're starting in Ukraine, where the crisis with Russia seems to be at a dangerous new level. The US, the EU, and Canada have spent weeks encouraging negotiation, but an announcement, then action today from Vladimir Putin seems to fly in the face of diplomacy.
В этой связи считаю необходимым принять уже давно назревшее решение.
In a fiery speech, Vladimir Putin recognized the independence of two separatist regions in eastern Ukraine. Almost immediately, he then ordered Russian troops to move in to keep the peace. Those so-called peacekeepers, boots on the ground within Ukraine's internationally recognized borders, are stoking fears that war could be imminent. This is a fast-moving story, and we have reporters on both sides of the border tonight. We begin with Briar Stewart, who's just inside Russia in the city of Rostov-on-Don. Briar, what are the latest details there?
Well, Andrew, from this side of the border, it's difficult to get a clear picture of the details, but the signs are ominous, especially given the estimated 190,000 Russian troops camped on the border. Along the highway leading to Ukraine's border, a visible and intimidating display of an arsenal that's been building for months. A line of trucks carrying soldiers towing artillery that just seem to continue on and on. We're about 20 kilometers now from the Ukrainian border, and we were in this area yesterday, and it's a much different scene today. Not only are there many military convoys, but even equipment parked in fields. Dozens of tanks lined up in rows and appear to just be waiting. This afternoon, President Vladimir Putin summoned his top officials to a theatrical meeting carried on state television. He claimed he hadn't spoken to them about the subject before, but wanted their input on whether to recognize the two breakaway regions of Donetsk and Luhansk as independent. In the last few days, thousands of evacuees have streamed out of there because the Russian-backed separatists told them it was no longer safe to stay. They blamed the Ukrainian army for the escalating violence, which Ukraine denies. Women and children boarded buses to leave, as the men are required to stay behind and fight alongside Russia and the separatist militia. This will be for a short time, this man says. Let's say 2 weeks. At least that's what I hope. Russia says tens of thousands are fleeing for their lives, but Ukraine and the US see them as being used as part of a sinister political plot to give Russia an excuse to invade. This evening, in a nearly hour-long televised speech, Putin gave an unequivocal sign that all of Ukraine should be aligned with Russia. Ukraine is not just a neighboring country, he said. It's an integral part of our history, culture, and spiritual continuum. After he announced Russia was recognizing Donetsk and Luhansk as independent, he signed a decree with the separatist leaders, but not before he issued this warning. From those who seized and hold power in Kyiv, he said, we demand an immediate cessation of hostilities. Otherwise, he said, Ukraine will be responsible for any more bloodshed. And that is the real fear, that not only a much larger war could erupt in eastern Ukraine, but Russia could move to invade the entire country.
Right, because Breyer, diplomacy had been such a high hope there. What effect might this have?
Well, Western nations have condemned this as a blatant disregard for international law, and it kills the Minsk peace process. Now, that was a deal that was struck in 2015 to bring peace and stability to the region. And while it was never fully implemented, it was a focal point for negotiations. Well, this move means that's now off the table, and Russia's relationship with the West is even worse.
Breyer Stewart on the Russian side of the border tonight. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's get reaction from Ukraine. Margaret Evans is in the capital of Kiev. What's the reaction there to Putin's speech?
Well, the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky called an immediate meeting of his defense and security chiefs. He then appeared on national television. He was defiant, he was calm, and he urged people to remain calm. He said, "We are on our land. We are not afraid. We don't owe anybody anything, and we're not going to give anything to anyone." That's a clear reference to what Breyer was referring to there as comments from the Russian presidents referring to Ukraine as a Russian creation. He also said, not surprisingly, that Russian actions were clearly violating Ukrainian sovereignty, and he made a very specific call out to the allies of Ukraine to present what he called clear and transparent steps of support. He also spoke with the leaders of the United States, the United Kingdom, with Germany and France, and said he plans to speak also with the president of Turkey. So a lot of diplomatic activity here tonight, obviously, and not a lot of sleep for many, many people.
Right, and on that point, Margaret, I mean, that gives us a sense of the official response, but what about from the point of view of people who live there?
Yeah, you know, people, especially here in the capital in Kiev, have been trying to put on a really brave face, a calm face, all of these weeks, even months of people warning of an imminent invasion. And I think most people actually thought that the notion of it was so surreal they couldn't even contemplate it. I think tonight they might be changing their minds because of this speech from Mr. Putin. And some of the people we've spoken to even just last week are saying, we think he is going to invade. We think he might even, these comments about will he go after the capital, they think he might even try that.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. You are in Kiev tonight, but you spent most of the day in Kharkiv. That's a city just inside Ukraine's border with Russia. You will be back in the program a little later with more on that. Thank you. Now, world leaders have been engaged on this for weeks. We're going to go to Katie Simpson in Washington now. Katie, what are you hearing?
Well, the United States had been expecting this and had warned Russia against it, so the U.S. was prepared to respond. President Joe Biden is imposing new sanctions. They are limited, specifically targeting these two regions. The U.S. also just announced its diplomats in Ukraine will be moved immediately to Poland just for one night. And at the emergency UN Security Council meeting, the U.S. representative sternly condemned President Vladimir Putin's actions.
President Putin is testing our international system. He is testing our resolve and seeing just how far he can push us all. He wants to demonstrate that through force, he can make a farce of the UN.
And so more sanctions will be announced tomorrow. What can we expect?
The U.S. will announce those additional measures at some point. Ottawa is following Washington's lead. Canada is set to impose similar measures, as is the United Kingdom. Allies are working on a coordinated response. What we need to keep an eye on is, will Russia's provocative actions be interpreted as a further military invasion? Because the U.S. and its allies, including Canada, have threatened to impose much larger, much more punishing sanctions if that is the case. The White House was asked tonight whether these peacekeeping troops Putin sent into these two regions would meet that threshold. An official said no, at least for now. All of these developments throw into jeopardy a planned meeting between President Biden and President Putin. Details had not been sorted out just yet, but there had been hope. At least the lines of communication would remain open in the short term, but now it's unclear. Andrew.
Okay, Katie Simpson in Washington tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to go to Ottawa now. After more than 3 weeks of protest and disruption in the nation's capital and several days of debate over how it was ended, the government's decision to invoke the Emergencies Act will stand.
We feel that this was a necessary choice, but make no mistake, we have every hope and intention to withdraw the Emergencies Act as quickly as we can.
The vote to allow the Emergencies Act passed as expected with NDP support. Conservative and Bloc members arguing it should not have been invoked and that with protesters mostly gone, its sweeping powers no longer needed. The government, however, insists the state of emergency is not over and that protesters are regrouping and may yet stage more blockades. Rafi Boudjikanian has been on this story for weeks. Rafi, tell us about tonight's vote and how it played out.
Andrew, a lot of bitter debate, often along the party battle lines you'd expect, though a couple of Liberal MPs did say they only went along reluctantly. Despite the Prime Minister's insistence, it was the only way. For the first time in weeks, the Prime Minister was able to take a walk just outside the House of Commons before again defending his decision to invoke the Emergencies Act.
Law enforcement agencies relied on it to set up secured areas in downtown Ottawa and at border crossings. It prevented foreign money from continuing to fund illegal blockades. And it's making sure our borders remain open.
A very different take from the official opposition.
It is using the most draconian piece of legislation at its disposal to fix a parking problem in downtown Ottawa.
When the protests started, some Conservative MPs voiced support. Though the Conservative Party did call for the protests to end, but has not been on board with the Emergencies Act.
Can the Prime Minister tell us what is the criteria for this emergency to be declared over, and on what date will he end these unprecedented and invasive measures?
Some of those invasive measures can be directed at individual bank accounts. Two Conservative MPs say they have constituents who had their financial assets frozen after making small donations. CBC News has reached out to those MPs but has not been able to verify their claims. The RCMP says the only people targeted in this way are owners and drivers of vehicles who did not want to leave the area, and not a list of donors.
It's important for all of us to be very, very careful to get our facts exactly right in each circumstance.
And while most opposition parties voted against extending the act, the NDP supported the government, it says reluctantly.
We are in a very difficult time for our nation. We believe very strongly that this has been a national crisis.
So, Rafi, the Emergencies Act, it is staying for now, but there could be more drama ahead.
Andrew, Conservatives immediately presented a motion to revoke the act with 20 MPs as signatories, but the House quickly rose and won't be back again until next Monday, so it wouldn't be surprising to see the Tories bring it up again at that point. Andrew?
Okay, Rafi, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're going to get some analysis now from David Cochrane. David, the extension of the Emergencies Act, it could last for 30 days, but the standing promise has been to end it sooner, right, if the situation permits. What should we make of that, and when might that happen?
Well, Andrew, it's really more now about conditions than it is about the calendar. Downtown Ottawa is clear, but there are still pockets of protesters in the city. And while the trucks are largely gone, they've regrouped in multiple locations in sort of the rural outskirts of Ottawa, and there's no guarantee they won't come back. So both the Liberals and the NDP cite that as a major concern. They want more certainty that the now open border crossings will stay secure, and they want to give the financial measures that they've invoked under this order more time to help deal with the dark money and the foreign money that's really funded a lot of this. Once those conditions are met, that's when the Liberals say they will willingly revoke this order. Of course, it could happen sooner if the NDP decides it will no longer support it and decide to vote against it in the House of Commons.
Right, and while there's a peace and order component to all of this, there's also the political component. So what are the ramifications there for the Prime Minister, do you think?
Yeah, well, Justin Trudeau's already cleared two big hurdles. I mean, first, he won the vote tonight. That's kind of important. And two, he's invoked the Emergencies Act and the emergencies orders, and the blockades have ended. So whether it's justified or not, it appears to have worked. The risk now is how long are they sustained, and can their political opponents, especially the Conservatives, prosecute the argument that this is essentially a vast dictatorial overreach? So the battle for Wellington Street is largely over, Andrew. The battle for the hearts and minds of voters, that's going to continue.
David Cochran, thank you very much.
You got it.
Now, on the streets of Ottawa today, people are still getting used to the return of calm and quiet. Ellen Morrow is there for us. Ellen, how do things look tonight?
Well, Andrew, we're just a block south of the Parliament buildings, and as you can see, there's still a heavy police presence in downtown Ottawa, but there's also relief in this city after 3 difficult weeks and some signs of life inching back to normal.
There you go.
Thank you so much. At this downtown Ottawa coffee shop, it's finally business as usual.
Relief, definitely. I went for a drive and a walk downtown just to feel see how it feels.
The shop at one point closed completely. The CEO of the company said protesters threatened staff.
The city's changed a little bit, I believe. I hope it's a lesson that the city can learn from moving forward.
After 3 weeks of this, described by police and residents as an occupation of Ottawa, that feeling of relief hangs over the downtown core.
It's been non-stop noise and frustration of not being able to do anything and go anywhere. So.
To see the police presence, to walk into work calm, do you know what I mean? Like yesterday was a little, because they were clearing things out. It's kind of nice.
The size of the so-called secure zone was reduced today, but the blocks closest to Parliament Hill remain fenced off, and police checkpoints still dot centre-town streets. There's no timeline for when this police presence will be gone.
As long as they're needed, as long as they feel that there's a threat to the community.
Today, dozens of trucks seemingly tied to the protest sat in a parking lot less than an hour away from the city, while downtown, this small group protested outside the War Museum.
And I'm going to stand till my last breath.
But mainly the streets are quiet. Ottawa's mayor says the police operation will top $20 million on top of the lost trust of many Ottawa residents.
It's clearly a failure on the part of myself and our council and many others.
Now the city tries to get back to normal. This bar reopened tonight.
Looking forward to our staff getting back to work. They're desperate to get back here.
So are their customers.
Okay, so cautious relief, if we can call it that. Ellen, what's the latest on the police investigation?
Well, Andrew, police updated the numbers today. 196 people have been arrested. That's a few more than we knew about this time yesterday. And 110 people are facing charges. Police say the investigation, Andrew, is going to go on for months. Tomorrow, 2 of the organizers of the protest, Pat King and Tamara Leach, are expected to appear in court, where we're expecting to learn whether or not they'll receive bail.
Ellen Morrow in Ottawa tonight. Thank you very much. Well, to other news now. As of April 1st, England will drop all COVID-19 restrictions. In fact, some changes will be coming much sooner than that. Abby Kuga-Dawson fills us in on the big restriction being dropped this Thursday.
Prime Minister.
A return to normal life. That's what British Prime Minister Boris Johnson promised in Parliament today.
We will remove all remaining domestic restrictions in law.
In this London restaurant, mixed feelings on what the PM is serving up.
I can't tell you how much I'm happy. I'm so glad I finished all of the restriction.
It's a big worry, but obviously we do have to go back to normal at some point. But yeah, I don't think it's right.
The biggest concern for vulnerable people like Shani Donda is that infected people will no longer be legally required to self-isolate.
As a disabled person, throughout this pandemic, I've just continually felt that my life doesn't matter.
Shani was born with brittle bone disease and has reduced lung capacity. She's had COVID before, but worries another infection could be deadly.
You don't know who might be vulnerable, who's standing next to you. When all the restrictions are going to be lifted, we're relying on other members of the public to do the right thing.
More than 65% of people in England have their booster shot, and the hospitalization rate is trending downward. But some medical experts urge caution.
So the idea that it's innocuous and we can just treat it like a cold, it's a bit premature for that.
I'm concerned that we'll end up with a variant that will be able to put more people in hospital, maybe more transmissible.
The PM is pressing ahead.
This virus is not going away, but it is the day when all the efforts of the last 2 years finally enabled us to protect ourselves whilst restoring our liberties in full.
Opposition MPs lashing out at Johnson, accusing him of rolling back restrictions to shore up Tory support amid the Partygate scandal, that he's prioritizing his own political survival over the lives still at risk in this pandemic. Abby Kuadasin, CBC News, London.
Well, Canadians are paying more for just about everything. So tonight we are kicking off special coverage that looks at why, starting with your grocery bill.
They're going up pretty significantly, which is really hard when you're on a fixed income.
Next, from the farm to your shopping cart, we follow the food to find out why prices keep going up.
This year is unprecedented.
Plus, the concern over how more and more people are trying to get a good night's sleep.
I couldn't tell you now what the dosage is.
And after a long pandemic, Canadians are ready for takeoff.
We're going to Phoenix.
Really liberating.
I think it's super nice to be able to travel.
What you need to know before you book. We're back in 2. Well, Canadians everywhere feel boxed in by rising prices. You have told us that loud and clear. So CBC News is launching Priced Out, the high cost of everything. Our special coverage in the coming weeks will fill you in on what's behind the surge, what to expect, and what the possible solutions might be. In a moment, we'll show you the forces blowing up your grocery bill. But first, Peter Armstrong meets Canadians who are feeling priced out.
As COVID's icy grip finally unlocks its hold, as the freeze over the economy begins to thaw, Canadians are stepping tentatively back into something that looks and feels normal. But not everything is bouncing back to the way it was. Everyone, everywhere is paying more for just about everything.
Now let's shift to the rising cost of living.
Various factors that are pushing inflation above our target range.
Brace yourself for that trip to the gas pump.
The rising cost of living is not exactly breaking news to Sridhar Mane. He's feeling the pinch.
Gas, groceries, shelter.
Mane and his wife both have good, high-paying jobs, but they have a baby on the way and the cost of everything is surging.
Right now, I feel that it's at a point where I feel the government needs to step in and do something.
As if on cue, the Bank of Canada is poised to take action next week. For decades now, higher interest rates have been the remedy to inflation. Higher borrowing rates slow the economy, inflation cools down. But look around. What's driving higher prices? Food, gas, shelter? Sure, higher interest rates may cool off Canada's absurd housing market, but will an extra quarter point in borrowing costs somehow unclog the world's snarled supply chains? Will it drag down the global price of oil? And if not, what can be done?
Well, there's a host of other solutions that literally put money in your pocket. Childcare is one of them.
This economist says the real problem's affordability for Canadian workers, families, and seniors. So instead of raising borrowing costs, she says lower their cost of transit, build more affordable housing, and subsidize post-secondary education.
There's like a relatively short list of things you could reduce the cost of and improve the quality and access to, and you are literally putting money in people's pockets.
Besides, raising interest rates means people like Vernon Zetto will get squeezed even more.
So I would ideally like to be able to buy a place on my own.
Zetto's hunting for a house to buy. He's 30 years old with a decent job, but he's living with his mom trying to save up for a down payment. Higher interest rates mean it will be even tougher to get into the market.
So what can we do?
Here's the thing. Inflation will likely cool this year, but even once it does, it's not like those prices are going back down again. So, over the next couple of weeks, CBC News will be bringing you stories from across the country, from people priced out, the impact that's having, and where we all go from here. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, this rising cost of food is a constant reminder. It costs you more and more just to live. The latest data from Statistics Canada shows food prices jumped 6.5% in January. That is the fastest increase in more than a decade. We asked Nisha Patel to show us the reason why, and it turns out there are several, starting from the ground up.
It's been tough to ignore the sudden rise of food prices.
They're going up pretty significantly, which is really hard when you're on a fixed income.
For shoppers like Deborah Lima, the reasons aren't clear.
So yeah, I don't know what it's due to.
So to explain the pop in prices, we talked to the people all along the route, bringing fruit from the grower to the store shelf. Canada imports more than $10 billion worth of fresh produce a year, much of it during winter. Larry Davidson sources fruit all the way from Peru. It ends up here at the Ontario Food Terminal.
This year is unprecedented. Last year was a cakewalk in terms of logistics compared to what we're dealing with now.
Davidson says his prices have jumped because his growers are charging him more. Their fertilizer costs are way up, and some have had to deal with extreme weather that's wiped out crops. On top of it all, shipping costs are soaring because of delays at ports.
What started off as a few days became a week, became 10 days, 2 weeks. We have containers that are 3 weeks. We have containers that are lost.
When the South American fruit eventually makes it to Canada, it then has to be trucked around the country. Raman Kangura's company transports that produce. He has to pay drivers more these days just to get someone behind the wheel.
Finding good workers is really trouble right now.
When he does find drivers, they take the fruit on a 28-hour journey from Ontario to the west. And with gas prices spiking 32% in a year, he has to pass that on to his customers.
Fuel is the main expense, like for all the truckers, and everything is getting up. The maintenance, drivers' pays.
Finally, the fruit arrives at the grocery store in Winnipeg. But all those costs have added up.
We have faced about a 20% increase in our cost on bananas, but we've only been able to raise our price by about 10% just to make sure we're competitive.
Produce manager Tarek Zeed says for his small store, high costs are tough to swallow.
It's a constant pressure, but we've been doing our best to manage it the best way we can.
Experts say there's no quick fix. So for the shippers, the truckers, the grocers, and the shoppers, the pain in the pocketbook is likely to last in the months, maybe even years to come. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
There is more special coverage coming your way as we investigate the painful return of higher inflation. You should watch for our stories on being priced out. And we continue to keep a close eye on the situation in Ukraine tonight. Next, we're going to take you to a city near the Russian border where some are already preparing for an invasion.
We are young, we have families.
Are you afraid?
I'm just disappointed. Yeah, afraid. Little. Sorry.
Watching and waiting in eastern Ukraine. Margaret Evans reports from on the ground right after the break. Welcome back. Today, with the stroke of a pen, Vladimir Putin accelerated a crisis the West fears could unleash a major war. He formally recognized 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine as independent. Then he ordered in Russian troops as so-called peacekeepers. Western leaders fear it is a pretext for a full invasion. Now, in eastern Ukraine, people can only wait and watch and try to manage their fears about what could be coming next because they live with painful memories of the past. Earlier today, Margaret Evans went to Kharkiv, a city just inside the Ukrainian border.
The Annunciation Cathedral in Kharkiv. Once one of the largest in the Russian Empire, now living and breathing in modern-day Ukraine. Prayers scribbled in candlelight and whispered confessions, time-honored traditions offering solace in times of trouble. Kharkiv lies just 40 kilometers from the Russian border, and it's hard to ignore talk of a pending invasion.
I'm not afraid of because I'm afraid of God only.
The city is Ukraine's second largest, and most residents are native Russian speakers. When Russian proxies declared 2 breakaway republics in Ukraine's Donbas region in 2014, there were fears Kharkiv would be third. Instead, the city took in refugees from the fighting, many still here 8 years later in camps like this one. Not ideal, but a home. Ludmila Petrenko lives here with her husband and 3 children, one of them with Down syndrome. They fear history is repeating. The first time we left with just 2 bags, she says. We really don't want to experience anything like that again. Much of the city feels as normal, but some people are preparing for the worst just in case. Here, volunteers teach rudimentary first aid to those who want to learn. Anastasia Parmesan is struggling.
We are young, we have families. We feel bad about it.
Are you afraid?
I'm just disappointed. Yeah, afraid. Little. Sorry.
It's okay.
In Ukraine, the living still carry the dead. And over the weekend here, there were memorials for those killed in 2014 when police opened fire on demonstrators in Kiev protesting the pro-Russian president who eventually fled. Then, as now, tensions with Moscow lay in its displeasure with Ukraine's attempt to turn westward. An underground workshop housing a co-op that encourages creative startups, members gathering together to battle away nerves. Remaining calm, they say, is one way to fight back. Katerina Paraverseva is another Donbas refugee, the child of a Russian father and Ukrainian mother. In a city like Kharkiv, she says, people like her are being forced to choose an identity.
After the beginning of war, I decided that I kill Russian inside me and became the full Ukrainian.
The graphic designer and photographer says she speaks only Ukrainian now and that she won't run again.
Because I lose one city and I'm not ready to lose another.
In the deep foundations of any city, there will always be cracks, perhaps here more than others. But there is also unity and strength that comes with it.
Now, Margaret got back to Kiev a few hours ago. Can we pick up on one of the things you raised in your story, Margaret? This idea of having to choose an identity.
Well, that's right, Andrew. I mean, a lot of people in Kharkiv have relatives on both sides of the border. In Russia, some in those breakaway republics, and of course in Ukraine. And they feel conflicted. There's a lot of tension even between families. But 2 of the young women that we spoke to today said, even though they are native Russian speakers, they are now consciously choosing to speak Ukrainian because they're so angry about what's happening. And one of them actually described it as an act of patriotism to display her support for Ukraine and its independence.
And Margaret, when we hear about Russia conducting a hybrid war, can you explain what exactly is meant by that?
Yeah, people in Kharkiv are really worried about that because there are so many people who read Russian newspapers. They're interacting on social media in Russian. They think they're more subjected to Russian propaganda from the Kremlin. But more than that, they think that it's already working in a sense. People are so worried about a possible invasion. They're staying inside. They're not going about their life the way that they normally would. And so the economy is suffering. They're suffering psychologically, and that has the potential to destabilize Ukraine. And that's what they think is already happening.
You will continue to be our eyes and ears. Margaret Evans in Kiev tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
CBC News is the only Canadian news organization with journalists on the ground in both Russia and Ukraine. They will continue to bring you coverage on this developing story on all platforms, including right here on The National. And when we come back, as Canada prepares to ease its travel rules, Canadians are already booking abroad.
We're going to Phoenix.
It's super nice to be able to travel.
But next, what you may want to consider before planning that next vacation. Welcome back. With COVID restrictions easing or set to ease in many parts of the country, many Canadians are also looking abroad. International travel is set to become easier as well, starting next week. So we had Julia Wong explore what a trip to a different part of the world might look like.
Kelly Bergquist is a world wanderer, and she is not letting COVID-19 get in her way.
I would wear a mask forever if I have to, just to be able to travel.
The Edmonton woman traveled throughout the pandemic and has more trips planned.
Next month I'm going back to Ottawa, April I'm going to Puerto Vallarta, and May I'm going to Sweden.
For Canadians who have stayed home the last 2 years, there's pent-up demand to get away.
We're going to Phoenix.
Really liberating.
I think it's super nice to be able to travel.
Calls and bookings have surged since the federal government announced it's dropping its advisory against non-essential international travel at the end of the month, as well as PCR testing requirements for vaccinated Canadians coming home from abroad. But travelers still have a lot of health-related questions.
What are the COVID rates in the destination that I'm traveling to? They're interested in the number of people that are at a resort or a hotel. They are interested in all of the safety measures.
Before they buy a ticket post-COVID, the Conference Board of Canada says travelers are also considering the distance they might travel in case they have to come home quickly.
Being able to head south but also be close to home is boosting people's confidence in booking.
When it comes to travel insurance, policies changed throughout the pandemic, and they're expected to evolve again now that travel restrictions are easing and when COVID transitions to an endemic disease.
And most of the Canadian policies are going to provide protection for individuals if they get sick due to COVID. I think we're going to see that continue even further once we move into that endemic state. So looking at it just as any type of condition that you've got.
Another trend that's persisting, last-minute bookings, an indication Canadians don't want to book a trip in case travel rules change yet again or a new variant emerges. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Well, the past 2 years have certainly given Canadians a lot of worries to lose sleep over. There's also been an increased popularity of the sleep supplement melatonin. Health reporter Christine Burak looks at what else we know about it.
About 4 out of every 10 people are having trouble sleeping these days.
Falling asleep at, say, 10 o'clock is fine, but then I wake up about 2 hours later.
Veronica Antipolo is part of a growing group that's tried melatonin. Usage is still relatively low, but a newly published American study found the number of adults taking melatonin supplements has significantly increased over time, and they reported using higher doses, raising possible safety concerns.
I couldn't tell you now what the dosage is, but yeah, I will say I'm guilty of, okay, maybe I'll just take a couple more because I feel extra awake.
You're going to have more problems with side effects like dizziness, nausea, headaches, muscle aches.
Have you ever taken melatonin?
No, I haven't.
Pharmacists say less than 1 milligram of melatonin can help some people, but evidence shows unregulated supplements can contain 5 times what's on the label. In the UK, melatonin requires a prescription. Dosages are fixed and mainly used to treat short-term sleep problems in adults over 55.
I think if you are going to use it, you use the lowest possible dose. You don't just shoot to whatever your friend told you to take.
Melatonin's not an herb. It's a hormone your brain produces when it senses darkness, and it can be thrown off by exposure to light, including screens.
The bright light bedtime will trick your brain into thinking it's daytime.
So here, the patient is actually awake based on the brain waves we can tell.
Dr. Michael Mack is a sleep specialist. He says if your internal body clock is thrown off by jet lag or shift work, there's evidence melatonin supplements can help.
But if you're a person that has problems falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up too early, and it's not related to internal body clock issue, then the melatonin doesn't seem to help very much at all.
Doctors insist melatonin should not be used during pregnancy or given to children without medical advice, adding if usage continues to increase, Health Canada should consider treating melatonin like a prescription drug. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
Next, the push to explore more Black history in Canada.
So we thought, well, there's more to Canada and its history than the Underground Railroad.
The new TV series showcasing a lesser-known part of the Black experience, right after the break. Canadians got a new look tonight at a little-known part of their history. A new series, The Porter, premiered on CBC Television and CBC Gem. It takes place in the 1920s and opens new doors to this country's Black history. Jackson Weaver has the details, including a small personal surprise.
Jazz, gangsters, and rum running, all parts of The Porter, a new drama series from CBC and BET, and a rare showcase of Black Canadian stories on screen.
Nice, and cut. Hey, Paul, can we hold that 1 second?
And putting that history in a TV show, inspired by the lives of train porters in the 1920s and created by a nearly all-Black cast and crew, is making history of a different kind.
I couldn't be any more prouder. We're seeing a show from a Black perspective, which I think is kind of rare.
If I wanted to get the porters into a union, what's the first thing I should do?
Those porters fought to create North America's first ever Black labor union. But while reporting the story, I made a personal discovery of my own. A newspaper article showing that my grandfather was a porter too.
This part is being reordered.
This filmmaker says that surprise is a symptom of a larger problem. Too often, Black history in Canada focuses on one thing, slavery.
When we did get taught something about Black history, it was always the Underground Railroad. That was it.
There are these huge omissions that really color your sense of history.
To help fix that, Sud Sutherland is making a new documentary of Black Canadian stories, part of a growing push of productions uncovering and celebrating untold parts of this country's past.
So we thought, well, there's more to Canada and its history than the Underground Railroad.
And he's not alone.
Did you know that Toronto's first taxi cab service was a Black-owned business?
Viola Benjamin started a TikTok series telling stories that hundreds of thousands are viewing.
Not enough of our Black history shared. We do not have the conversations that we should. The Black experience is not acknowledged. And in my day-to-day, I think it's very important. So I'm going to be that person who sheds light, starts conversations, even if it's difficult.
And the hope is a wave of new productions like The Porter will help unpack more stories about the Black Canadian experience. Jackson Weaver, CBC News, Toronto.
Up next, an all-girls tackle football league is making a comeback after COVID put a dent in their plans.
In our second season before COVID hit, we would have been set to hit about 120 to 140 registered players.
Why simply returning is a stepping stone to a much bigger ambition. Next in our moment. Three years ago, an all-girls football league was formed in Edmonton to give young women a fair shot in what has been an entirely male-dominated sport. But after just one season, the league, like so many things, was sidelined by COVID. Now, though, the league and players are ready for a comeback. It's our moment.
Since we started our girls tackle football division in 2018, so our first season we finished with 52 or 48 registered girls, and our second season before COVID hit, we would have been set to hit about 120 to 140 registered players. This year, honestly, we don't fully know what to expect. We're just looking forward to running really our second official season since we've had the last two off. There hasn't been that opportunity in the last however many years football has been around for girls to really feel included and have a safe space and a comfortable space for them to participate.
I like that it's like a family. You can make families out of it and you can just have fun with it and forget all the troubles that you have.
I've been playing football since grade 10. I started playing flag for high school, and then I actually joined the inaugural season halfway through. You don't really see too much females in the sport of football, so I think it's super important for us to get together, and so hopefully in the future, you know, there's varsity teams, there's professional teams for women.
Indeed, that's so great. And you know what? I think they're going to look back on the timing of COVID and think, boy, that was really rotten timing. But I can't help but think the timing of the comeback is pretty good, right? On the heels of the Olympics, at a time when a lot of Canadians are thinking about sport, maybe more young people thinking about chasing their dreams. That's The National for this February 21st. Hope you have a great night.